Carrfields, pioneers for over 50 years, supporting life and prosperity on the land for all generations. Carrfields, your trusted partner on the land.
And excitingly, actually being joined by a member of the Carrfields livestock team, Luke Gilbert joins us now on the show, who is a dairy genetics specialist for Carrfields. Welcome to CountryWide CONNECT, Luke.
Thank you very much for having me on.
And of course, we're talking to you from a great newsworthy story about an incredible record. It's the highest sale average at a single vendor sale in Australasia. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That is correct. So we held Land at Lawal sale coming up 2 weeks ago. And it was a pretty special day. They were selling 100 lots initially, and then about 3 days before the sale, they decided to consign another lot, and so it became she was 100 lot 101. She sold first, and she sold for $40,000. And the overall average over the 100 lots was 12,330 off the top of my mind, which was a record for like you said, single vendor in Australasia. So it was pretty cool to be part of that sale, no doubt about it. The team at Lawal, they do a fantastic job of marketing and presenting their animals beautifully, which certainly paid off for them.
Luke, a $40,000 cow, that's pretty special. You're going to want to look after her fairly well. What makes a $40,000 cow, though? What are the traits that the buyers are looking for?
I guess their genetics is sort of the main thing. So she was purchased as an imported embryo from North America, and her dam has put many bulls into AI worldwide. And then, so she's got the good genetics behind her, but then she is pretty outstanding cow herself. Sorry about that. She's a pretty outstanding cow herself. So when we judge cows, it's they've got to have a good frame, engine room to eat lots of food and make lots of milk, and then they've got to have a good udder to store the milk in so that they can last a long time. So it's all about having productive cows that are going to last a long time and make a lot of money for the farmers, really.
Must have been an incredible experience for the Singh family of the Waikato Holstein Friesian stud. But I understand it's been a busy old month for the Carrfields livestock team. There's obviously weaner sales, but in the dairy world, Luke, you've also had some other very outstanding prices across the country.
That is correct. So throughout the month of April, myself and this is just the dairy genetics side of thing, we held 14 sales. Some of them are solely online on bidder, and some are on-farm sales like the Singh sale was. And yeah, we've had really good results right throughout April. We've got a couple more coming up in May as well, but it has been, the last week's been a little bit cruisier than the month of April. It was pretty flat out, no doubt about it.
Luke, you talked about the Singh's farm sale on farm. That makes that's a pretty special day. They're a lot of fun, those sales, aren't they?
Correct. They're a lot of work. They're a lot of work for both us at Carrfields and for the vendor themselves. But the work generally pays off. The people that put the time and effort, the presentation, especially at Singh's, is second to none. The way they do things, they sort of take it to another level. But your normal dairy sales, we've got a marquee that we bring. We put up the marquee the morning of the sale. We then sell the herd or the animals through the marquee during the day, and then us as a team take the marquee down and then draft animals for the truck. So there's definitely a lot of work goes into those on-farm sales, no doubt about it. But yeah, when you're getting, I feel definitely this year, most years, but definitely this year, when people have sold their animals at auction, they've achieved quite a premium over just selling them in the paddock. So it does definitely make all the work worthwhile, really.
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to, there was an Australian auctioneer, Brian Leslie, and looking at these prices, obviously it's this Australasian record, but Brian would have seen a record or two in his time. What does it compare to, like, the Australian sales around dairy?
So he is a very experienced man. He's been auctioneering. He told me he auctioneered his first sale when he's 15, and he's now 60, I think he said, around there. So he has auctioned at a lot of sales over his life, and he's a man that's got a crazy good memory. He remembers almost every sale he's ever auctioned at, so he just knew straight away off the top of his head that it was an Australasian record. I've been talking to him since that sale, and typically the Australian market is a fair bit stronger than the New Zealand market for these kind of animals. But this year, maybe the last couple of years, he's telling me our market's been far stronger than theirs. And we were talking about why. Obviously, we've got a good payout is handy. This autumn, the Fonterra shareholders received their payout at around about the perfect time for these sales we were running. So yeah, there is money in the industry, and then there's confidence. And in this sort of high-end genetic world, I think there sort of seems to be quite a bit of interest in that at the moment, and people wanting to increase the genetics in their herd, and whether that leads to them putting bulls into AI themselves further down the line, or whether it's just to strengthen their herd. There's definitely more of a surge in that in the last couple of years.
Luke, these are obviously very top-end prices. What's the average price at the moment for a good quality milking dairy cow in calf, and also for a good quality in calf heifer?
Well, when we're doing herd deals, I think our average herds this year has averaged $2,950 for $2,950 for a 1st of June takeover, and then the in-calf heifers are about 2,700 average. So that gives you a bit of a picture, and then yeah, like I said, we've achieved premiums on that when they've been sold at auction for sure. But it's ballpark figure, it's about $3,000 on the cows and 2,700 average on the in-calf heifers at the moment.
What's been some of the records? Because I heard sort of Waikato around 4,000.
Yeah. So the record for a paddock deal actually happened back in September. Herd sold from Taranaki to Waikato for $5,600 in the paddock. That's the highest any herd deals happened in New Zealand. Then yeah, I've heard of a couple selling around that 4,000, 4,100 and stuff like that, and deals happening in the paddock. So, but yeah, that 5,600 is the record, and then yeah, there's been a few around the 4,000, which is big money, no doubt about it.
Luke, what about demand and supply? How's that looking?
So the demand is it's sort of tapering off a little bit. Most people that are sort of needing to buy cows have by now, but there's still a few new things popping up and people needing cows. So there is still demand. I think obviously this year the conversions were allowed to happen in the South Island drove most of that high demand. So yeah, I think it was somewhere around 20,000 cows they needed for the conversions, and obviously those cows have to come from somewhere. As far as I'm aware, there's still going to be more conversions happening in the 2026-27 season. So from my perspective, that means there's going to be strong demand going through to 1st of June 2027 as well. So I think people can be confident that we should really, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be able to achieve similar values in the next dairy season as well.
Yeah, there's going to be some calf rearers out there that will be under a lot of pressure to look after a lot of these replacements coming through, well, in regards to not just replacements for that farm, but the opportunity to put some serious effort in for this market that's going to need cows.
The other market that we haven't mentioned yet is the dairy beef market. What's that we've heard some incredible numbers for autumn-born dairy beef, but what's the indicator coming forward for this coming season, calving season?
For spring, yeah. Well, I always think we've had dairy beef bulls selling for $750 at about a week old. And yeah, I always think it's pretty typical that the market will be a little bit back on that in spring, like you're talking about before, supply and demand. There's obviously a lot more supply and basically the same demand. But typically that you generally work on $100 less for your springborn dairy beef calves than what you do your autumn-born. So if it can stick to that, then I think there'll be some pretty happy farmers out there. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, what do we hear? 900 at Fielding.
Yeah, I've heard numbers when I was up in Hamilton recently. They were talking about 600 for autumn-born. Mind you, they were beautiful stock. So, I mean, golly, think about when I was farming. $40 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
no doubt.
Makes your eyes water.
It is all relative though, because Like we had a line of steers coming. They were big boys come through the yards, prime steers. They're probably 3 years old, but they're selling for $4,000. So there's definitely still some good margins to be made along the way. Yeah, when you farm them right.
Yeah, and you've got great people on your side like your Carrfields agents supporting you throughout the sale. Hey, thank you so very much for your time, Luke. Great insight into the dairy genetics world, and look forward to having you back on CountryWide Connect.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been great.
Awesome. Luke Gilbert, dairy genetics specialist for Carrfields.
Whatever your farm needs, machinery, seed, livestock or finance, Carrfields has the solution and the expertise to back them up. Find out more at carrfields.co.nz.